Welcome to the Roots News Podcast, the place for all things volunteer, which means we highlight AARP programs and volunteer opportunities. Within AARP programs, aiming to build a network of volunteers and supporting family caregivers through resources, dissemination, and program coordination. Today, we are interviewing two members of the Friendly Voice program. My name is Whit Phillips, and I will be leading the interview with team leadership in the AARP Office of Volunteer Engagement. Please welcome Felicia Clark and Kim McCowan.
Thank you, Whit. It's great to join you on the Roost News podcast.
Thanks, Whit. Great to be here.
Thank you guys for coming on. Before we start, tell us a little bit about yourselves and what you would like to share about your position with AARP.
Felicia?
Sure, I'll start, Kim. I'm Felicia Clack. I reside in Scottsdale, Arizona, and I've been a part of the volunteer leadership team with Friendly Voice for 3 years. How I began with Friendly Voice, it was shortly after I retired about 3 years ago during the COVID years. I suffered a stroke, was able to recover from the stroke, and decided I will retire, but wanted to still be active in the community. So, as a member of AARP, I logged on to explore volunteer opportunities at that time virtual. And through the Create the Good website, I learned of the Friendly Voice platform. I reached out to our then lead, Nina, uh, and learned of the wonderful opportunity to share and offer and give to the community through the Friendly Voice program. And that's reaching out to those who are isolated and lonely and just have friendly conversation on a weekly basis. So 3 years later, I'm still involved in this program. It's a wonderful program that as a personal ethic, when we give, we receive. So we've shared and brought sunshine to such a vast amount of clients that we have in our network. And it's such a pleasure to be a part of this program. Kim?
Well, just like Felicia, I'm a lead volunteer. I'm born and raised and still live in Los Angeles, California. During the pandemic, I lost my job. And in 2022, I also decided to retire. But I knew I couldn't just sit at home and watch soap operas all day because that's not my thing. So, being a longtime member of AARP, I knew about Create the Good. So I went on there looking for something that I could do where I could volunteer from home. And there were different stuff going on. And I found this thing about Friendly Voice. I said, that sounds kind of cool. I can talk to older people. Well, I am older, but okay. So I decided give it a whirl. And I talked with the former manager that she mentioned, Nina and Opal, and it was a good fit. And I really enjoyed it. So I've been there since September 2022. Well, I think we're going to kind of talk about what we do. So I'll go first and have Felicia go. With Friendly Voice, I work with training new agents and dealing with our agent guide, updating it, writing training instructions for the admin group processes, whatever. I work on the newsletter and the quarterly meetings, doing content and anything else Aaron, our manager, needs. And Felicia?
What I do, we receive calls from interested participants within network or out of network, I should say, that express interest to learn more or be a part of the Friendly Voice program. They will call, leave a voicemail that we will respond to, and learn if they are interested in becoming a volunteer, if they are interested in the program for a friend or family that may be isolated or lonely. And then from there, we reach out to them and vet them. That's a part of my responsibilities with the Friendly Voice program. We place those calls, speak briefly about what the program entails, and find out, in fact, if they are interested parties, and then go from there as far as their expressed interest to be a participant or learn more how to engage family or friends into the program.
And I guess another thing I forgot
Okay.
to mention, Felicia and I are both mentors. When the new
Yes,
agents come on, we work with them for about 2 to 3 weeks and we listen to their calls and let them know, give them encouragement, or if they, messed up or whatever, we do it positively and make sure that they are a good fit with Friendly Voice.
we're piggybacking on each other, Kim. You made me think of something else. Once they express interest, and I vet them along with another volunteer lead, Adeshoa Valente, we learn of them, and if they would like to become a volunteer, then we do have quarterly onboarding Zoom calls. It is at this time that we share more detailed information about the program. Typically, Kim, we have what, about 10 to, well, maybe 10 to 15, sometimes 20.
Yeah.
And we share more information in detail about our program. From there, if they do express interest to continue into our program, then 2 days later, then we have what is called a nurturing Zoom call. And then from there, Kim shares additional information in depth about how and what our responsibilities are as a volunteer. Then she mentioned the mentorship, which I will let her express what we do from there.
Yeah, with the mentorship, like I said, just mostly checking on the calls, making sure, answering their questions. And then they kind of have like a certain person they've dealt with. And so they know they can talk to anyone in admin, but having that mentor, they often call you back and ask you questions, or they feel free to, talk with someone else. But the mentorship program really works well because we're guiding them through. And we don't give up on them after 30 days. We still check in on them. But it's
Yes,
a special process where we do, correct anything, double check what they're doing, and we have little guidelines that we follow. But
yes,
it's a good process and it's working.
it's working.
Hey, but Lisa and Kim, can y'all do a role play situation where we get a caller in that's calling regarding being isolated? The steps you would go through with them, so we can kind of like get a visual of how it works.
Absolutely. Um, I will reach out to a client via the Zendesk, which is the AARP platform that we use. We call from the computer, not from our personal phones, because we maintain confidentiality on both sides. It's an AARP policy, so we do respect that. So when they answer the phone, we have their names listed on the Zendesk platform, their name, what state they are in, and we take brief notes from previous volunteers. All that is listed in the Zendesk platform. So what I typically do, and I know Kim does also, we read the brief notes left so that way we can engage in conversation when we place our call. So I'll see that maybe Ken Brown in Michigan loves to play sports. And these are notes. I preview that prior to the call I make. I see he loves sports. I see he's in Michigan. They just had a snowstorm. I also see that he loves to play golf. I'm a golfer. So, or he loves sports. He loves baseball. He loves football. So when I call him, I said, when he answers, hello, I said, hi, Ken. This is Felicia with AARP Friendly Voice Call Center. This call is being recorded for quality purposes. How was your day today? They will respond. I said, it's so great to hear your voice. I said, how's the weather in Michigan? I saw the weather is a bit cold. Is it cold? Is it still snowing in your area? They will respond. And so sometime that leads to a different extension of conversation, like my heat is not blowing cold or warm, excuse me, or I love this kind of weather. I just have to layer up. Or we went out, I took my dog for a walk and we went out and it was snowing. So then I'll expound on additional conversation. So yeah, I saw that those Detroit Pistons are on a tear because I'm a sportsman. So I'll say the Detroit Pistons went from worst to now they're first. They're in contention to go to the NBA finals. And so I expound upon a friendly conversation, engaging conversation, not a scripted conversation, because the vision of our program is for a call that's friendly. a call that's personable, not personal, but personable, that allows our client to engage in conversation with us. One of our rules is a 60-40. Let the client talk 60%, we talk 40. Sometimes it's a 90-10, and that's okay because that too is our vision and our mission for this program.
And
Kim?
I'm
Yeah, I
going
can
to
see that
answer.
helps the person get comfortable.
Right.
Exactly.
So when you
Yeah.
talked about social isolation, we don't bring that up in our calls like, hello, I'm calling you because I know that you're isolated and very sad.
No,
In the back of our heads, we know that's why we're calling. We've got that. And that's why when new people come on, we have a special group called the First Chat Calling Group, and they call them and find out some information. So when we give them to the agents to call, there's already one phone call in there with notes that they can refer to. And we know that they're socially isolated. So we don't talk about politics or religion. And we don't say, oh, you said you feel sick. What's happening with you? How sick are you? I'm so sorry. We don't do that. We want to make the conversation light and breezy so that we can recover from the social isolation. So it's in the back of our heads, but not a topic that we bring up.
that's right. And Kim, you made mention of that. Our calls to our clients, we wanted to feel like it's a friend you haven't talked to in a long time.
Mm-hmm.
So that way that engages the conversation because we all have experiences where we have family or friends we haven't talked to in a while. So the conversation that we lead into by what Kim's statement just was, we engage them. That makes it a more friendly conversation because they're talking to a friend they haven't spoke to in a long time. We have notes that we can refer to that again engages them in conversation, and it extends the calls, makes it friendly, makes them comfortable and not scripted.
We also have a rule with that we don't assign clients to agents. So our guideline is if you called Sally the 1st of May, wait 5 more weeks before you call her back. Now we've got over 400 clients. There's plenty to pick from, but we just don't want them calling the same client over and over and over again. And so
That's
that's how
right.
they get to meet different people. When I would call
Correct.
people back east and living in California, and they say, well, honey, where do you live? Oh, I'm in LA. Los Angeles? Oh, I'm in Maryland. And they love it. They love talking to different people. And guess what? The agents like it too. They talk
Yes,
about the weather or what's going on in their city, and the agents learn new things. So it's a win-win on both sides.
absolutely.
Okay, so how different is it in the case of loneliness compared to isolation?
Oh,
In the case,
Loneliness, like how what's the difference as far as the approach and conversation when the person is isolated, but now you have a call when a person is saying that they're lonely or they feel lonely. Would it be kind of like the same
well,
conversation?
the reason that we're calling them is because they are isolated or they're lonely. It's one or the other, or it's both.
that's
We
Right,
right.
had a
right.
lot of people during the pandemic that their senior citizen home closed at home place of activity closed down. Their kids didn't come over because they were scared they'd give grandma disease, and their neighbors didn't come by. It was the pandemic. We didn't have, the shot, or what do they call it, not an antidote, but a vaccine for like a year and a half. So the normal things they did where they interact with people, it wasn't happening anymore. And some of their grandkids didn't call, but once a year or twice a year, they didn't make the effort. So just having us call them once a week, even though it's only for 15 minutes, they look forward to that call. It
Right.
might be the only friendly call they get, or maybe their family is small. They don't have siblings and they didn't have children and they don't have a lot of friends, or the friends they have died. There's different reasons why they're not interacting with people, all kinds, unfortunately.
That's right.
Okay, so go ahead, police. Police.
No, I was just gonna co-sign to what Kim just said. Many of our clients are some are 90 plus. So they've outlived their family and friends. They live in centers where some are handicapable, some have certain disabilities that they are unable to interact. So our clients sometimes are stuck in their rooms. Some of them are special needs client. Some of them are blind. Some of them have certain disabilities that restrict them from being able to engage with other people as they have in the past. So again, we bring that joy, we bring that sunshine, um, as a friendly voice, trying to enlighten their day because, yes, they're really, in some cases, loneliness, in some cases, isolation, and in some cases, both. Sometimes they only interact with someone bringing their meal into their room. So
Mhm.
we try to engage in the conversation to let them know someone cares because when you care, it shows, and we do.
So it kind of sounds like it goes hand in hand.
It does.
Whereas when in regards to loneliness, it will take several calls maybe that week to kind of actually rid that loneliness feeling that they may feel, correct?
Well, we make one call per week to our clients because we have such a vast number of clients,
Right.
uh, client to volunteer ratio, which is why we're always engaging to um, encourage others and welcoming them into the program because there's so much need, um, and outreach to those that are in this particular position of loneliness and isolation. So while we do have a 10 or 15-minute conversation per week, many want to have a call later that day or the next day or the following day or the following day, but because we have to, our mission is to reach those that have signed up for the program, that we share the friendly voice to all that have signed up. So um, I won't say unfortunately because it's not unfortunate. It's just we want to be sure that we fulfill our mission and our values to those that have signed up to receive these calls.
Right. And that brings me to the next topic, which is the
Mhm.
volunteers, the training of volunteers to
Uh,
make that happen. What's
Okay,
the
well,
time frame?
well,
Yeah.
we do training 4 times a year. Sometimes we do it 6 or 7 if we need that. And they attend a class on a Monday and a Wednesday. And the first class is Zendesk. That's the one that I teach, where we show them how to use the software because they all think that the people are going to be on Zoom and they're going to use their cell phone to call. And we tell them, nope, nope, nope. Everything's on the computer. It's a software. You don't have to download it. It's free. It's not going to cost you anything. And the only thing they really do on the computer is search for their people, and we have what we call an ongoing call page, the only page that they can see, like a web page. They go on there. They don't have access to what we see, and they can sort the column by state. So we all know that, certain states are on Eastern Standard Time, some are on Central Time, some are on Mountain or Pacific. We're getting ready to have a new column added that's going to only show the time zone. So you can push that button and then only, ETs show up together, or CTs or whatever. So that's kind of cool. So we've got that training with the Zendesk. We talk about after they make the call, we want them to ask the client before they go, do you want to call next week? And of course, Felicia knows this answer. Oh, yes, please call me next week. And that's when they say, but you can call me again this week if you want to. And we're saying, no, Sally, we're not doing it. So
Hmm.
they push a little button, they pick the date for next week, and then they say goodbye. We have a small script to read as they close, 2 sentences, and then they hang up. And then they go on the computer on that same page where that client's name is, and they type in, just briefly, talked about plants. Her dog died last week, but her cats are doing fine. And just make little notes about what they talked about, because we don't want the agent next week to talk about the cat that died and yada yada. We want them to
right.
talk about different stuff, or bank on maybe their plants were being planted. So now, how are they growing and what's coming up. Then on 2 days later, on Wednesday, we meet again for an hour and a half, and we have the nurturing conversation. That's when I talk about um, talking with your clients. What if they do start to go down a bad side where they're saying, oh, my heart's not working well, I don't feel good? How do you pivot and change the subject to something more positive? And so we talk about that. What if you have a client that starts to talk about religion or politics? How do you segue that into a new conversation? What if your client doesn't feel like talking today? They just like, uh-huh, no, maybe they're in a bad mood. Maybe something happened. So we talk about how to investigate and find out. And if they don't feel like talking, we don't want to force them to talk. We just say,
Right.
you don't
Right.
sound good today. How's everything going?
Right.
And so we find that out. And then we meet a week later and we gave them an assignment the week before to make, I think it's 4 or 5, read the notes from some clients that are inside of the system. And so they read what other agents have written. Then we had them make 3 calls and they're like, by ourselves? Yes, by yourself. And then
Yes.
we talk about what they called and what happened and how they feel afterwards and what did they do. And so we discussed that. And they have to finish that assignment because if you didn't make any calls, you're not going to talk about too much that day. So we give them some more headers and then we tell them a couple days later, probably Friday, who their mentor is. They're going to call them and find out who they called. And we have ability to see the phone call and we can listen to the recording message and see the notes. We don't need them to write all that information to us. So that's our training for that first 2 weeks. And then we have the mentor the next 2 weeks listening to those calls until the end of the 30 days. Did I get it all, Felicia?
You did, and I wanted to point out when we do share this information with interested volunteers, we do impose upon them to pay attention to the time zone, because if we have volunteers in California and on the each of the headers within the specific client information, some are available only Mondays and Wednesdays, some are only available Tuesdays only for whatever reason, but we do bold that so the volunteer is given the information ahead of time to know if they want to select that person in New York, in Georgia, in Iowa, if they are in Washington State or in Cali or in Arizona because of the time zone difference. So if that header says, I only want calls Monday, Wednesday between, say, 9 a.m. and 12 noon, California can't log on at 8 a.m. and make a call to New York or vice versa. If a volunteer is in New York and wants to call someone in California, well, 9 a.m. in New York is 6 a.m. in Cali.
Oh, don't call me then.
That's not going to work. So we do offer specific information for
Mhm.
success to our volunteers. We do, in the training period, ask them to pay definite attention to the time zone so that you have success at the beginning of your call, that you're not waking someone out of their sleep when it specifically says, don't call me then, I'm not available. And if you do call, to Kim's point, and they say, well, I'm not having a good day today, I have a headache or what have you, we respect that and then schedule that call at another time. Again, giving all due respect to their request to keep the calls friendly.
Mhm.
Because if we don't, they will not want to be a part of this program anymore. And it's counterproductive to why we are involved the way that we are.
Yes, yes. So how do you guys measure if the program is working for the caller?
Well, my goodness, the first thing that we look at are what are our clients saying? And I did a lot of calls before I started working with admin, maybe about 2 months, maybe two, not that's not lots, but 2 or 3 months worth of calls. I can't think of one person didn't say, I'd say, "Hi, Sally. Do you want to call next week? Oh, honey, please. Can you call me tomorrow? Next week, I can do 2 calls." I didn't have anyone say, I don't want to call next week. Now, one lady did say, oh, hon, don't call me next week, but the week after, I'm going to be, my husband and I are going to see the grandkids in Wyoming and, whatever they're doing. And so we would skip a call, but I didn't have anyone tell me not to call. So they let you know right away. We did have a lot of callers back when the pandemic first started, like over 1,000. And then because they were isolated, like we mentioned earlier, the senior center was closed and all that, it opened up again. So those
Yes,
people could get out their house. They could, go in. But there are some that we still have that are like maybe in a wheelchair and don't get out much, or maybe no friends or whatever, or they just stay home with their 6 cats and dogs and they like staying home. They're and they talk on the phone all day. Whatever the reason is, they let us know when they're not happy. So
that's
we
right.
make it a decision to make sure that we provide information like, here's some more topics you can talk about. Here's what to say when, they're a little upset, or do we need a carryover note? Do we need to, call them
Mhm.
twice because they don't have a voice machine and it takes them a while to get from the wheelchair to the phone or whatever it might be? We want you to call them twice. So we have little things like that to help them. But our biggest thing is when clients hang up and we don't, I'm sorry, hang up, ask us to just continue calls. Very seldom do we have that. We've had a couple of people, obviously, people are older and they die. But typically, I don't get calls saying, stop calling me.
not at all.
Mm.
To Kim's point, they are always to pretty much what you just said, please, honey, or we try to keep the calls to a minimum 10 to 15 minutes, but they'll say, oh, honey, do you have to go? I enjoyed talking to you, and they want to stay on the call longer than that period. So we do have to reiterate, it's been such a delight speaking with you, but we do have to reach out to other clients that are waiting on, to receive a friendly voice. But there are times that we do have to vet our volunteers to share with them how to close a call. So many times clients will start talking. So the I would say trick, but the key thing is they've got to take a breath to talk. So when they take that breath, that's
Yep.
when you get in there and say, it's
Okay.
been great. We're going to call you next week and, have a wonderful day today and great talking to you. So that way it'll allow us to close the conversation. Otherwise, they'll talk for hours, which is joyous to us, but we do have
Yes.
to reach other clients.
It's a compliment, but
It
unfortunately,
is.
we can't get to the other people if we spend 30 minutes. And we've had agents who were talking to someone, and maybe that one call went for 22 minutes. We are not writing down in a book, ooh, what did Felicia do? She talked for 21 minutes. Let me talk with her. We don't do that. But if
No, no,
people are doing 30 and 45-minute calls and we see that, we will call if they've had lots of them. But if it's once in a blue moon, we leave it alone. It just happened. And I'm glad you talked with the person. I'm sure they were happy. So let's move on.
that's right.
So based on the engagement that you guys are having, you can tell that the program is working for the caller.
Oh,
Yes.
yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
Oh, yes.
great, great. Well, guys, thank you for this valuable information. And how is it, what's the best way for somebody to reach out to you guys to get the help that they need?
Well, there's that 88 number that you have, 888-281-0145. Again, 888-281-0145. And if someone knows of a person that would like to be called, they can call that number to say, hi, I'd like to have some information about someone calling me from Friendly Voice. Now, if someone would like to volunteer, call the same number and say, hi, I'd like to be a volunteer agent and call people. Please give me a call back. So you just got to tell what you want from us so we'll know when we call you up.
And when they call, you won't receive a live recipient on the other end. We ask that you leave a voicemail, and we will call you back. That number is good 24 hours, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. So once they leave that message, they will receive a call back to further inquire if they are indeed want to volunteer or if they're calling on behalf of a friend or family that might benefit from our program. This allows us to expound on the details of our program if they have landlines or if they're in a community center or if they're part of a call center. We need their home phone numbers because that's how we connect to them directly, not through a switchboard. So they call, leave a voicemail. We do get back with them as soon as possible so that we can learn more about their interest in the program.
We do get a lot of kids. Well, I say kids because they're people's children, and the kids are in their 40s and 50s. My dad could use this call. Here's his
Yes.
number. We don't do that. So we'll talk with him, explain. If he calls us up and says, I want to call, we can, but we can't just call because you want us to. That's a little invasive. So, I mean, I know they mean well, but we don't do that. And, hello, surprise, it's me from AARP. And they're like, who are
Yeah.
you? Why are you calling? Yeah, we don't want to make it uncomfortable.
Gotcha, gotcha. Well, again, guys, thank you for the information on the Friendly Voice program, and which is under the AARP Office of Volunteer Engagement, better known as
Yes.
OVE.
Yes. And
And
oh, we forgot one thing, Whit. We
okay,
forgot to say talk about the Spanish line. We have
oh,
a
Yes.
Spanish
great,
line for those who speak Spanish. And I can give you that number. It's
please
well,
do.
I don't have to well, okay, I'm sorry, 888-497-4108. Again, 888-497-4108. We have
Great,
agents who are bilingual, so they work the English line and the Spanish line.
great. Well, to our staff and volunteers, we encourage you to subscribe to our Roost News podcast channel on YouTube and or listen to the audio version on your favorite platform. And of course, please invite your colleagues to join us too. On behalf of the Roost News podcast team, we thank you and we were glad that you visit with us today so we can get that information out to the community.